Good evening YouTube, how are we all doing? Right, this is Chris with Rose Ironworks again. Horrible wet night in the work on what are we on? Thursday night tonight. Horrible wet night in England here. Cold, wet and miserable, usual winter weather. So I brought something in to cheer some people up. So right, let's get into it. A bit to do tonight. First of all, we're going to have a bit of a review, but not so much of an unboxing of the beast, the new beast. ESAB Rogue 200i. The old, look at that, there we go. Bit of funky, filthy dirty already, which is always good. ESAB's new, very portable MMA and DC scratch start TIG machine. This is the 200i Pro machine. Really nice, solidly built. It's kind of comes, I think, from the same heritage as the Rebel machines, which I used to own. Loads of handles, really tough cage, front and back end caps. Take the abuse, which it already has been had quite a bit of. Really heavy duty. On the back end, really heavy duty power switch. On here, nice click switch, really heavy, good quality. And I do mean good quality. I, for one, can speak of what cables are good and what aren't from my experience over the years of working with temporary power systems in the entertainment industry. Obviously comes out of China, but there we go. It's a good HO7 RNF cable, 3-core, 2.5mm, and usually the machine comes with a 2-pin Euro plug-on, because obviously it's sold Europe, but changing for a good old 16 amp. Yeah, it is dual voltage as well, this machine, so you don't necessarily have to have the old blue plug on. You can put a yellow one on it as well. I've got some funky adapters which I use occasionally if I have to run them at 110. Obviously, if you do run them at that, it will reduce the output of your machine from 200 down to 140 amps. So, what do we want to know about it? Well, machine comes as standard with the earth clamp and work holder, and if you just bear with me a second while this machine fires up, I'm going to go for a rummage and go and get it out, so bear with me a second. There we go, so it's just done its usual fire up the fan. Right, let's have a look at the display. Nice and bright, this display. Dead easy functions to operate. There aren't many of them on here. Simple switch here. Switches from your MMA stick mode to TIG. So obviously your minimum 10 amps on the TIG right the way up to 200. So she's good for really good. And same with minimum 20 on the stick, 200 on the top end. Press and hold this one, you get HS come up, so we've got hot start, so that really helps. So that's arc force, so that goes from a minus all the way up to plus. I usually have it about 5 or 6, and that really helps with the party trick that this machine has also got. Sorry, arc force is that one, yeah, so arc force again, you can bang that right the way up. So if you aren't running like 7024s on really dirty steel, you put that on full pelt and it will absolutely kick through, get you going. Only 3 connections on the front: work lead, earth clamp, and your foot pedal for your TIG. I haven't bothered with that yet, not that fussed. So this machine, as I've just discovered and recently seen on the internet, ESAB, Little Monkeys, have already launched the next machine in this range. Turn that Velcro off. Which is their DC TIG machine. Now it's funny they should have done that, because this machine has got some really cool features. When you are doing MMA with it, it's got high frequency ignition, which is the first time I've ever come across that on a stick machine. It uses 35 50 dints connectors, standard size for most things. Cables that they come with are alright, they're not too bad. 3 metre set of cable, again, decent single core. They're only 16mm, surprisingly. I think 16 is a little bit small, I'd prefer 25s. Certainly on the earth return clamp, 25s. Tools on the end. I'm just going to stand behind the camera. Earth clamp, pretty cheap and cheerful earth clamp. Opens to about 50 to 60mm. Fairly standard cheap crimp on there, machine crimp. No strain relief or anything. M8 bolt, but it's got decent copper braiding inside, which is all right. And as you can see, it's already taken a bit of a hammering. So people that saw my last video probably would have seen this has just done its work on the spiral staircase I was doing. Electrode holder is one of these. Seems to be a ESAB proprietary one with 2 holes for position. It's a twist type. I personally don't like them. I'm just going to get an electrode just to show you how it fits in. This is so literally you literally just tighten, and she's in there. 2 positions, obviously got one, but then the other position's better for overhead work or certain angles of dangle on the old work, so you can get it at an angle like that as well. Get an angle. But yeah, I'm not a massive fan of these ones. I've already had it where I've had an electrode stick really badly and then pulled it so hard that this has come, the insulation handle has come back, which is not great, especially when you're in the rain. But we're going to take that apart anyway in a bit, because part of this video is I'm upgrading. I want to upgrade that electrode holder. I've just bought the traditional crocodile type from my local supplier, which is Arc Welding Services in Birmingham. I'm not sponsored by them nor endorsed by them. They're just my local supplier. They're very good. I like them. Honest chaps. Only a small company. They do hire as well, and yeah, so we'll get rid of that. I should just like to point out the background to my video tonight is the old reliable green cutting mat. See if anyone out there that watches my videos may have seen these before, and 2 other chaps. They do a lot of reviews and unboxing and things. This is a really good electrode holder. Straight out the packet, heavy. The spring on it is like a very hungry crocodile. It's got the usual good positions. And it even munches the flux off the back of your rod. So we're going to change that. Before we do though, I'm just going to disconnect the earth clamp out of the way, because I don't want to be arcing this up by accident on my bench at the moment. So we're going to do that, and then I might put some runs down with it maybe. We'll see. Let me just adjust the camera a bit so we can turn you that way a bit. I've got to excuse the massive bang. So it's a lump of 20mm plate. That's better. There we go. You got a bit of the. You can see what's going on there. So we'll work in the vise. I tend to do this. So this is kind of another one as well for welders out there that have never done this, or somebody that's new to it. I thought I'd just show you what kind of is important with this sort of cabling, because obviously welders, any form of welding machine tends to run at high currents. Okay, so if you're running a machine at even at 80 amps, which you can see that one's set at the moment, and you see it, you can at the moment, there you go. 80 amps is enough to weld, 4mm steel. If you've got poor connections, then your connections are going to get absolutely knackered as well. They're going to really fry, and they're going to get hot. Your electrodes are going to die. Your earth clamp's going to get hot. So, as the same as with like car batteries, car systems, anything that uses heavy current, even mains. You've got to make sure things are tight and well greased, as it were, because if they're not, you're in trouble. So this one, I'm not going to chuck this one away. I'm going to keep it as a spare. I might even do a Christmas giveaway and someone can have it. If you want an electrode holder for a welder and you haven't got one, drop me a message in the comments below and I'll post it to you for Christmas. How about that? Right, I'm just going to get some wire cutters because we're going to lock the end off this. Where's my decent ones? I'm not going to start getting into what wire cutters are best. You can see with this one they've put a copper ferrule wrapped around the wire, which actually I can reuse. Look at that, it's a piece of copper foil basically, and that's really good because again that's increasing contact area with the cables. You can see it's quite thin, and one of the other things important with good quality welding cable is lots and lots and lots of fine copper strands. That's the fan kicked in on the machine. It'll do that occasionally, it just runs on and off when it's just sitting idle, and then obviously it kicks in when the machine is actually in use. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to turn it off because it's annoying. It's really loud, it's like a small tornado. So yeah, so lots of copper strands, which is what you need. Good, heavy, current carrying capacity. So we've got our new electrode holder here, and this one is very nicely made, held together with a screw. Bear with me, mate, folks. We're going to take this apart, work out how it comes apart. I think this is a... Which way do you come apart? You come apart that way. I think this is one where you have to actually screw it in to get it off. Yeah, you do. There you go, look. Aha, right, so first look inside. Really heavy duty these are. I think they're rated at 400 amp. These are 400s, I'm sure they are. Where's the doobree? Oh no! Well, it says 35% 200 amp, but I reckon you can do it for more than that if you were careful. Right, so good heavy duty, really big hole for the cable. We need 5mm Allen key. Most of them are Allen key fits. There's a grub screw inside, and you can see decent cable there. Now that hole is way bigger than what I've got as cable size. So just gently clamp it in the vise. Don't forget to thread the back handle on first. Now hopefully what we can do with this is we can actually fold the end in half, because folding it in half will, as long as all the cat's whiskers are put well away, increases the CSA, cross-sectional area of the cable. We're going to get our piece of foil and we're going to wrap it round again carefully. And with a bit of luck, we get that squeezed in the hole, we're on for a good new connection. Nice and strong. The right size Allen key. So if you've never done this before and you've got a welding machine that you want to upgrade, or you've got a part that goes down, or you're on site and you need to put a new part on, don't be scared to do it, but just be sensible. If ever you're welding and suddenly your handle gets hot, which they mostly do, but into a way that something's wrong, stop and have a look, take it apart, see what the issue might be, because it can, half the time when the stuff comes out from the manufacturers, they don't really do the screws up that tight because they're more in the mind of getting the machines out the door than getting everything done. If I can get this back on properly, I don't know what's happening there. Oh, we have to back the screw off. Back the screw off out of the way. Let's do that in a bit. Get it in the middle. There we go. I prefer these holders to a lot of the others just because they are I've just got this thing where I like to hold them in my hand a certain way. Every welder will have. You can get a good, and also you got a nice hook on the end. You can hang them up. So you put your thing down between runs and just hanging on something was good, whereas that thing just, well, I suppose you could use it for hitting things with if you wanted to, but yeah, there we go. So, slight upgrade to the machine, I think that's quite good. We'll move on in a minute. I'm going to try and do some runs now, do a few runs on some plate, just so you can hopefully hear the HF ignition. If anyone's thinking of buying one of these, I highly recommend them. They are good. They do them in, there's a 160, a 180 and a 200 amp model. They're really portable, lightweight as well. They're only about 11 kilos, so if you do have to go up a ladder with it, I'm just going to shove it out of the way. Right, so what we need is a bit of plate. We'll be doing the scrap thing down here. Bit of plate there, and we've got a nice bit of backing. Move your camera around that way. There we go. Now this is not going to work too brilliantly because I haven't got set up a camera that will cope with arc shots, because I haven't got about £1 million, but we can see how we get on with that. Just to give you, hopefully you'll be able to hear the ignition start. I'm just going to run a few little bits and pieces. I'm not that fussed. I'm just going to grab out a 2.5mm 6013 rod, nothing special. For those welding family across the pond in America, 6013, it's one of our standard rods we tend to use for general fab work in the UK. Nice people do. Cheap and cheerful. The equivalent to your, I'm not sure what your equivalent is over in the States, what your main one is. I know you use a lot of 7018, which is a good rod, I like them. Bowler, I can highly recommend bowler rods. Alright, so I'm just going to coil this cable out of the way a bit, so I can get my earth clamp on the back of this plate. Right, so we better put the machine back on. Are we in picture there? No, you're not in picture. Hang on, let's just adjust you up a minute. There we go. Yeah, you can see the machine there. Back on stick mode, we'll have about, my favourite 78 amps. That's good, it works well for a lot of things. Just going to get some gloves, or a glove rather. Definitely a good thing to be doing on a wet night like tonight. So yeah, so we'll bang down, we'll see if we can get you to hear the HF ignition on this. So here we go, folks. Right, so you might have heard that, and I've just noticed if you actually long arc it, you can hear it even more. So we'll just let the fan cool off a minute. Got the machine shut off. Just got a cold chisel and knock the slag off that. This is not a video about how good my welding is. Not yet anyway. So just do another one, see if you can hear it this time as well. I'll deliberately long arc it and you'll be able to hear it. Yeah, right. Close enough for that silliness for one session. Oh. Oh, I thought for a minute we had a peeler then. Not quite. Right, we'll just let it quieten down again. I'm not picking that up with bare hands now. Let's see what we get straight off here. Hey, look at that. Oh, that's worthy of a wire brush, that is. Not bad for a Thursday night. Nope, hang on. There we go. Just a simple run on some plate. Bit of spatter on it, but I wasn't really prepping. I haven't prepped it or done any cleaning or anything. Doesn't matter. It's just a practice. So yeah, so you can hear the HF, which is really good. I've never used a set that has HF like that on stick, which I think is just brilliant, really good. So what I'm going to do next, the other job I want to do, well, I've got you lovely people on here as an audience, is the other thing I want to do. I'm just going to clear some crap out of the way. By the way, if anyone out there has not heard of this brand of discs, Third, they're German. They're amazing. They are so good. I'm not sponsored by them, I'm not endorsing them, they're just brilliant. These are the 1mm cutting discs. For those of you out there that have never used a slitting disc on a project, if you're just like your standard, you know, the average DIY that maybe goes to B&Q or something like that and buys what they sell as cutting discs, which are like 3mm thick, you won't see nothing yet. If I can get into them, that's a good thing. I've just bought in boxes of 25. Don't need that. So yeah, so there we go. 1mm thick. They're amazing. Zip discs. Most fabricators and welders out there will know because they'll use thousands of them as I do. They're amazing. And Third are a really good German brand, very good quality, consistent. And the other thing is, I have never had any disc explode on me. I know that some cheap discs out there do. They're really bad. Yeah, so there we go. So I hope you kind of got the idea of my review there. I'm not doing an unboxing thing because I think there's too many of them out there already. I'm going to be using the machine a lot more and I'll be videoing it. So we'll get some more real world experience with it. Next job I've got to do now as well, which is something on slightly on the other end of the world. Got this old stinger lead here, which is actually the earth return lead for my plasma cutter, which by the way, that's coming as a review soon. I've had one for quite a while now and it's really good. So I'm just going to spin it back around onto the vise over here. There we go. And I'm just going to show you the quick process of changing one of these out and putting an earth clamp on. What we need first is 6mm Allen key. It's a bit foggy in here. Somebody's been welding. This was just a temporary lash up I made a few nights ago for something. This electrode holder is crap, by the way. If ever you see these in the shops or on a machine, don't buy them. They're terrible. Yeah, they flop around. They're really poorly made. They're cheap. The spring's rubbish. Just keep them as a spare. Which is where that one's going in the box. Right. So what I'm going to do is I need to make a new earth return lead. So I just picked this one up from the Arc Welding Services the other day. It's a standard one. My machine is only a 60 amp plasma, which is more than enough for this size of shizzle. So she's got a 10mm stud on the clamp. So we're just going to get our box of. Are we in shot? Yeah, we're in shot. That's alright. A box of lugs here. I'm going to show you with the correct way to fit one of these onto a machine. So what you'll often find with this cable is sometimes it won't actually fit the lugs it says it does. This is 25mm. So again, it's a decent thick bit of cable. The end's a bit manky, so I'm going to chop that off and I'm going to get a new end. Clean back the cable. If ever you do this for anything, try and make sure that your lug and the length of cable the insulation strip off is equal, so it should be like that. Okay, don't have any exposed copper sticking out because it's just going to get knackered, and at some point it will work oils or greases or anything like that into it, and it will start to corrode the copper. So just very carefully around with a knife, pull the dingy bob off the end. There we go. How nice copper bunch. Now if you just bung this 25mm on here, it's actually quite loose, and what you actually can see there is it now looks like I've got a massive gap, but I haven't. It's because the insulation's just pulled back. So 25 is a bit big, so we're going to try tip these out and see if we can find nothing like preparation, is there? What I want is a 16mm, and I don't know whether I've got any 16mm. Yeah, see, it's one of these cables that ends up in between lug sizes, so we'll go with the 25 because it does a nice tight, nice easy fit to go on. Again, it's one of these ones because I'm also an electrician, by the way. Obviously, this stuff is my everyday toolbox gear, so I've always got these on in the van with me. So if ever I have any breakdowns when I'm welding, I kind of don't have to worry. Right, we need the crimper because we've got to crimp the lug onto the end of the cable. Bear with me a minute, folks. The crimper's over here. Get a big bertha out. Move some of this stuff out of the way. So, copper lug crimper, bung it on that. It's a manual one. We've got some all the marks. It does between 16 and 120mm. So we'll just wind the mark out to 25mm. Are we in shot there? What do you like? Oh hello, what's happened to this? Hang on a minute, folks, my phone's playing up. What's that doing that for? Oh, this is annoying. Go away. There we go. Right. Open the jaws up, put the lug in the right way round. Make sure it's in the middle to start with. The weight of the handle will hold it. And squeeze the bejesus out of it. If the cable doesn't fall out, which it just did. There we go, hold that in there, and donk! Right, so what this crimper does is it actually forms it into a triangular shape. Now, they say that you only need to do this once, but I tend to do it 3 times. Certainly when you're doing mains, tails, critical stuff. There we go, so a nice look. Got a bit of a gap there, but if you look the sheath back, hey presto, that gap will disappear. Nearly. Just going to turn that off again. Noisy perisher. PVC insulation tape, which is a pain in the butt at this time of year because when the workshop's cold it never wants to stick properly. I'm just going to cover up the excess amount of lug on the back, the shaft as they say, the socket, and just pull it in nice and tight. There we go. That's a really solid connection, nice and clean, nice and tight. Because the thing is with a connection like this onto a cable, not only is it going to be electrically sound, it's going to be mechanically sound. So there's no reason why a screwdriver through there, give it the beans, that will not come off, which is what you don't want. You don't want that. So through the hole in the clamp, that's looking like it's probably 17 mil. Ratchet spanner on it. Not too tight, but very tight. There we go. Perfect. Nice clean connection, nice and tight. This spring clamp's actually quite good for testing your hand strength. So that's my earth return for the plasma made. And lastly, the last thing I'm going to do, how's the camera doing? Oh, we're alright. Just one last bit of waffling I'm going to do. Who wouldn't like a good waffle on a Thursday night? This is one of my arc extensions for when I'm on site. I made one up. The last one I've got to do is this female socket. So again, what we've got here is we've got a female 35mm, 50mm dints, the standard welding connector. So this is actually saying it's the 30. That's interesting. It says it's 3570. All right, 3570. There we go. Allen key, hex key fix, 5mm I think this one is. Yes. So we're going to terminate the cable into this. Now this cable's going up to the top end of the scale. I use 35mm for this stuff. I like my extensions not to have any resistance on them. What you've got to be careful with this is you've got to make sure that it's not too long and starts poking into the socket, because these dint sockets are hollow all the way through, like a plug, which it isn't. So again, we're going to run the knife round without cutting your fingers. Famous last words when you're on camera, isn't it? Always good sign of a decent cable, this one as well. It's just actually got the lubrication paper inside. Probably just about to see that. It's in focus. And nice, really nice tight bundles of thousands of individual strands, so very high current carrying capacity. So we're going to bang that in the copper ferrule. Make sure it's not too deep. We've got the insulation there. Always remember first before you do that is actually put the back of the plug on. Put the cover on, because that's really annoying when you've gone and done it all up and then you have to take it off again and ruined it. 5mm Allen key. This is the other cool one they do. Look, they even supply you with an Allen key which goes in the bin, or in the recycling bin, and then this little bit of metal here. Now this little bit of metal is to help slam the Allen key down into the copper. However, what they don't tell you is what you actually have to do to get it in, is you've got to squeeze the copper down, which when you've got the cable in there is a little bit tight. So this acts as another clamp. It's a bit of a fiddle to get it in. Once you get it started, it'll slide up. Yep. We need a fat blade screwdriver to make a gap. Not that one. Some people will probably do this on time lapse, but I. There we go. So we're just going to knock this in using our handy ratchet spanner as a hammer. Make sure it's in line with the grub screw and not to one side. And that way this will act as a pressure plate and really push down hard, crushing the copper. I'll show you in a minute. I'll just take out the vise when I've done it up and you can see what it's done. And it's absolutely squeezed. Once these connections are done up nice and tight, they should last you a long time, as long as you look after them. Right, let's take it out. So you can see there, so we've squeezed down probably halfway, because these connectors are good for up to 75mm cable. So that's absolutely clamp solid, will not come off. Now this is the fun bit, getting the sheath, getting this on, because they're tight. So what I tend to use is a bit of silicone spray, PTFE, the old GT85 PTFE spray. It smells lovely as well. The trouble is when you use it, you can't grip anything afterwards. One squirt of this and you get elephant in a doghouse. This is the bit I don't like doing. Once it goes, it's quite easy. Tend to push it against the vise. And that should. What we need to do is bury all that copper, sorry, the brass, into the holder. I think we'll get a hammer on it. We'll get our soft dead blow hammer and knock it in. Yeah, she's going. There we go. Beautiful. There you go. One socket, line socket, straight on, ready for the extension. And if I've done this right, she should. Yeah. There we go. Perfect. And actually, I need to just do one adjustment. So it's the other arc extension for the van. Sometimes it's easier to run them out than the lots of mains. Right guys, so I'm going to sign off and I'll actually appear on video. Here we go, let's turn that up a bit. There we go, I think you can see me now. Yeah, oh look at that, what's on there? Bit of muck. So thanks very much for watching everyone. Like and subscribe if you're interested in my content. I've got more coming, more real world on site stuff, plus some machine reviews. Drop us a comment in the box below, say hello. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask me, and I'll see you again on the next one. Cheers guys, bye.